The first difference between is hardware and software. So the key on the topic which we are going to talk about first is type. Hardware is a set of physical parts of computers which actually executes the instructions. Hardware is a physical part and it works on the basis of instructions. Whatever the commands, whatever the instruction which provided by the software, that all will be executed by hardware. Next is software. Software is a program or a set of instructions which are to be executed by CPU to do the intended task. Software is a set of instructions. Set of instructions which will be executed by CPU. Whatever the instruction will be provided by the user to the software, that all instruction or command will be executed or will be done by the CPU. Next, the key is development. A hardware is manufactured in factories. Now here, what does development means? Development means to develop the parts of computer, whether it is hardware or software. So the hardware is manufactured, hardware is prepared, hardware is made in the factories, whereas a software is developed, engineered by software development companies. Software is designed and made by software developer or development companies, and development companies, in companies there only software developers like us, they work there for preparing kind of different software according to the user's need. Now next is dependency. Dependency, as the name resembles, the part of depend. Okay. Now what about hardware dependency? A hardware cannot do any task without a software instructions. Hardware totally depend upon the software. Why? Because unless software will not give the command or instruction to hardware to complete the task, hardware will be not working as it do when software provides the instruction. So hardware cannot do any kind of task without a software instructing it. Now dependency about software. A software cannot execute if underlying hardware is not present. If there is no hardware, there will be no software. If there will be hardware, then hardware is of none of use, because software is most important as hardware. A software cannot execute if underlying hardware is not present. Software will also not work if hardware is not there. So both the component of computer system is important, and both the component is depend upon each other. Hardware is important and software is also important. If software not give the instruction to hardware, then hardware will not perform any task. If hardware will not perform any task, that means software has not given any instruction. So both the component of computer is dependency on each other. Next is tangible. Now what is tangible? Let's see. A hardware can be touched, being a physical electronic device. As we know, hardware is a physical part, and physical part we can touch, right? A hardware can be touched, being a physical electronic device. Hardware is the part of computer, is a component of computer which we can touch and which we can feel. Now tangible about software. Software being digital can be seen but cannot be touched. Software is not a tangible, means we can see that software is loaded in a computer system, but we cannot touch it like a hardware. So the tangible between both the components of computer is different. A hardware can be touched. We can touch hardware. All the part of computer which we can touch are called hardware, and all the physical electronic devices such as monitor, keyboard, CPU, UPS, these all are hardware because we can touch it, we can feel it. And about the software, software are those part of computer which we cannot touch. It is only installed inside the computer system. Software help us to complete and process the data, process the raw data for getting an exact answer or exact functioning of our instruction. Software being in digital can be seen but cannot be touched. We can see the software, we can find out what software is installed in our computer system, but we cannot touch. We can figure out Windows is uploaded in our computer system, or Linux is uploaded in our computer system, or some other operating software is uploaded in our system. We can just find out, but we cannot touch Windows from our hand. We cannot feel these software, right? So tangible is different in both the components. Next is categories. What are the categories? How these both components are categorized in the computer system? Hardware categories: input device, output device, storage device, internal components of CPU and motherboard. Hardware, as I already told you, hardware is divided into many parts. And hardware are those part of computer which we can touch. Now we can touch input device, we can touch output device as well, we can touch storage device, internal computer device, internal components of CPU and motherboard. These all parts of computer which we can touch, which we can hold in our hand. So hardware is categorized into different types. Now, what about software? Software are categorized into different forms like programming softwares, application software, and operating systems. These are also a software, but the functioning of these software are different from each other. So that is why software is categorized into three types. Next is virus impact. Virus impact means what will happen if virus will impact on these both components. What will happen if virus will attack on hardware? Hardware remains unaffected by viruses. because hardware is a physical component, and on physical component it's very hard to affect by virus. So hardware will not get any affected, it will unaffected by virus. Now what about software? Software is affected by virus being primary target. Now let me tell you what is primary target. Primary target means the first which comes in the first way, right? The first target which comes on a way. Like take an example, you just borrowed a songs or a music track in your pen drive from your friend. So you are going to plug that pen drive in your laptop. So what will be the first primary target? Primary target is you are just plugging in that PD in your laptop or computer, then those music files will come into your laptop, right? Now if that PD or pen drive is affected from the virus, you're not going to see that these computer viruses are not visible from our naked eye. So when we are going to transfer the data from external source in our computer, these kind of affected pen drive or external devices easily get a chance to use or corrupt our data from our internal memory. So the things or the data which we are going to transfer in our personal devices or laptop, we should scan the external device which we are going to plug in. So software is affected by virus being a primary target. So software is the very first component of computer which will get affected when we are going to use the affected external devices or external source. It is not important that we are going to get all the viruses or the viruses from the external source. Sometimes while we are using internet is also a source from where we are going to get the virus. So next time whenever you're going to download anything, just be careful before uploading, before transferring any data, just scan the external device. Now next is digital transfer. A hardware can be only physically transferred. Physically transferred means how you are going to transfer these components of computer from one place to another. A hardware can be only physically transferred. We can just pick up that hardware device and carry it the place where we want to, right? So hardware is the only physically transferred device. Now what about the software? Software can be transferred electronically. Software is not a physical part. We cannot carry the software from one place to another. So for transferring, for sharing software to another people, we have to transfer electronically. Now what is electronically? Electronically means we can transfer that data into any external device, or we can transfer that data through an internet connection as well. So this was about digital transfer. Now next is replacement. Replacement of hardware. If hardware get damaged, it is replaced with new one. Yes, if hardware get damaged, if hardware get some breakage or some wire replacement, that device can be replaced with the new one. But what about the software? If software get corrupted, okay, if software get damaged, it is reinstalled. The only thing we can do with the software is we can just reinstall that software in our device. Now next is redo and undo. This is the common thing we usually do while we are creating any text document. Now let me tell you what is the difference between undo and redo. Undo, which reverses the previous editor action, is performed by pressing Ctrl plus Z on the keyboard. The number of undo steps that can be performed is configurably in the option dialog box. Now first we will talk about undo. Undo is the short term for reversing the previous editor action. What you have performed in previously task, that will reverse it. Okay, and that process is called undo. And the process which we are using by pressing Ctrl plus Z key on the keyboard, that configuration, that thing, that process is already configured in our dialog box, in our options dialog box, from where the keyboard setting we do, right? So all the things, shortcut keys are installed in our, configured in our dialog box. Next is redo. Redo, which is used to reverse and undo, is performed by pressing Ctrl plus Y. Redo is also a reverse of undo. In undo, you can reverse the first mistake, and in redo, you can reverse the second mistake, right? Like you have done some mistake while typing any text. The first time you did undo by pressing Ctrl plus Z. Now again you want to do that correct part, that mistake, or you can say that previous editor action again. So you will press Ctrl plus Y. So this was just a theoretical part of undo and redo. While you will perform the practical thing, things will clear to you. So that's all for today. Take care.